So this isn't a new Netflix movie, but it is a new movie on Netflix. I tried to watch it the day it came out, but because of scheduling issues, I am now just getting to it. Major Grom Plague Doctor is a Russian action adventure based on a comic book. So is it worth checking out, or is it just hot garbage? When St. Petersburg is declared a city sick with the plague of lawlessness, a vigilante named the Plague Doctor takes to the streets killing people who at one time escaped punishment with the help of money and high status in society. Police Major Igor Grom must track down the villain before time runs out. So like I said, this is based on the comic book Major Grom from Bubble Comics that ran from 2012 to 2016. The movie starts out with some ridiculousness and some all-out crazy action. The opening sequence is a wild ride, and it introduces us to Grom and his stop-at-nothing attitude when it comes to apprehending bad guys. After the craziness of the opening scene where we have just rampant destruction throughout a city, along with a very exciting chase, the movie then settles down just a bit to begin with the real story. We learn quite a lot about Grom in the span of several minutes, even though there is still a lot to find out about him. Now, when I saw the title for this movie, I thought that Plague Doctor was Major Grom's title, and that's just not the case. Major Grom is the movie, with this chapter, if you will, being about the Plague Doctor. Now, there's a pretty obvious scene not too far into the movie. I found it surprising that the movie made this point so clear and seemingly didn't even try to hide the secret. So then when the reveal happened, the only reaction that you could have was, duh, I mean, we saw that coming a mile away. But I'm also happy to say that the story did contain a surprise that I absolutely never saw coming. It was so unexpected that it did garner a slow clap from me because I was impressed and excited. As you watch, you'll certainly see the influence from movies such as V for Vendetta, The Joker, The Dark Knight, and even Sherlock Holmes. None of these are really directly copied, but there are certain portions that you can tell that were inspired by the movies that I just listed. I liked the lone wolf attitude of Grom. He's a loner and doesn't trust many people, nor does he really have any friends. But this allows for the opportunity for change in his character. It's not guaranteed that we're going to see him open up, but at least the possibility exists. And Grom grew on me because he's fairly charismatic despite his loner mentality. He does get partnered with a newbie police officer named Dubin, and I enjoyed their dynamic. Dubin's got a naivete to him that makes him very endearing. We also meet Yulia, a sort of investigative reporter. I like the chemistry between her and Grom because they have good banter, but also she helps to soften Grom, even though she's not a soft character herself. Now, when the villain's motive is revealed in the latter portion of the story, at first it feels kind of like it's half-baked, but I was impressed by the end of the plan because it felt like it could actually work. And that doesn't take away from the deviousness and dark tone of the scheme, but at least it made sense. I think it's also a pretty basic and even generic plan on the part of the villain, but that didn't make it less enjoyable. The simplicity of the scheme allowed the movie to focus more on the character of Grom and his pursuit of the villain. Now, I thought the villain is pretty cool. The costume is kind of like Batman's with the exception of this plague mask, and the flamethrowers that he has attached to his wrists, those are just fun. It's a menacing look, and it builds out a pretty freaky looking baddie. So with this being an action adventure with some mystery, the action better be exciting, and I thought it was. There are some really great fight scenes that are pretty intense and crazy. Sometimes it was close quarters fighting, and other times it's just an all-out brawl, but just about every time it's paired with some high-energy music that amps up the excitement. There are some times where the scenes get repetitive, but that's used for effect and then even humor. At first it was a little jarring to see these repeating, but it did become something that I really enjoyed because it was used at appropriate times and it wasn't always immediately obvious that the technique was being employed. Now, the film is pretty long at 2 hours and 16 minutes, but I never really got bored. There was enough where the situations alternated between action and drama to keep it moving, but not so much that it was always rushed. And despite its length, the story didn't feel long. I was invested in the characters and sucked into the narrative, so I didn't feel the time. While there are a lot of practical effects in this, there are a few times where some CGI is employed. And there's one portion in particular where it looks like the movie used CGI to create a person's face. Now, while I'm not 100% certain that this was at play, there was something just not right about the face that made my eye kind of twitch. Luckily though, throughout almost the entire movie, the effects, whether they're CGI or practical, they were done well and they looked great. So this is the first movie in what I hope will become a franchise. The comic obviously had a run over several years, so there should be content for at least a few movies to work with. Now, there are also mid and post-credit scenes, so be sure to watch all the way through. They make me excited to see what could come next. So overall, I enjoyed getting to know the character of Grom and learning his quirks and some of his motivations. I also appreciate the character growth we do get to see from him, still knowing that there's the potential for so much more. The action is exciting and engaging, and while some aspects of the mystery are pretty obvious, there is a secret that the story maintains pretty well. At least I never saw it coming. This movie really ended up surprising me at how much fun I had. I expected to sit down to some cheesy story that hopefully would have a little bit of decent action, but what I got was great action with a fun cast and an engaging story. There's no sex or nudity, some profanity, and a bunch of violence. I give Major Grom Plague Doctor 4 out of 5 couches. Yeah, I was that surprised by it. So have you seen this yet? Was this even on your radar? I'd love to know what you thought of the film if you check it out. Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me. Das Vidanya.